My next patron question is from Diver, who wants me to compare two films about the Second World War, released in the same year and from the same director. With this February marking the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima, I'm curious to know which movie depicting the battle you think is better, Letters from Iwo Jima or Flags of Our Fathers. Both were directed by Clint Eastwood, and each one is told from the perspective of one of the opposing sides, with Flags of Our Fathers from the Americans and Letters from Iwo Jima from the Japanese, so the comparison should be easier to make. This might be the closest in quality comparison I've ever had to make for which is better. I found both films to be flawed war pictures that explored some interesting themes and featured some okay battle sequences. If I have to pick one, I'm going to give the slight edge to Letters from Iwo Jima. The decision to give the focus to the Japanese during the Battle of Iwo Jima leads to a curious viewing experience. This is a war movie where not only do we know they're going to lose the battle, but we want them to lose. The film portrays the lengths to which those in charge will go to win a battle, even if it means putting the lives of their own soldiers in direct danger. It gives us a few characters we're meant to sympathize with, while still showing the brutality that went on in the Japanese military. Where I found myself at a distance from the movie is I did not find the central characters we're following to be all that compelling. The script does try to flesh them out via flashbacks to the time before being enlisted, but I felt those interrupted the flow of the story and did not fit seamlessly with the overall narrative. The movie jumps between the protagonists, and while we get a good performance from Ken Watanabe as General Kurebayashi, a lot of them just become your standard war movie archetypes. Eastwood does a decent job of directing the battle sequences and is able to properly portray the conditions the soldiers find themselves in when they begin hiding out in caves. As a portrayal of the Battle of Iwo Jima, though, I found myself more invested in the themes than the personalities on screen. And the same goes for Flags of Our Fathers, which is actually a lot more about the aftermath of the battle. The film depicts how the story behind an iconic image can be distorted, and whether the public perception or the truth matters more. I found the movie a little slow at the beginning, but Flags of Our Fathers eventually finds its footing somewhat, as we see a group of soldiers being used as propaganda to sell bombs, and the impact this has on them. These aren't the most fleshed out personalities, but we do understand what John Bradley, as played by Ryan Phillippe, and Corporal Ira Hayes, played by Adam Beach, have to deal with, as they wrestle with the truth about the flag and how the United States views them as heroes. Beach gives a particularly good performance. Corporal René Gagnon is the other major character, but I never felt we truly got to know him. The battle scenes succeed at portraying the horrors of war, but Eastwood and his director of photography, Tom Stern, choose to oversaturate the colors of those sequences. I guess they were going for a Saving Private Ryan approach with the cinematography, but it did not work for me. Throughout the film, we also get scenes that show a few of the characters being interviewed by Bradley's writer's son, James. I understand what Eastwood was going for here, but I found them distracting, and a more straightforward narrative approach might have been preferable. Eventually, these take over, and James becomes the main narrator. The movie is based on his book, but I'm not sure we really needed those sequences. I do think the film does a good job of showing the lives of soldiers after the war is over, and they have to return to being normal citizens, albeit with these horrific memories. Ira Hayes' story is an especially important one to tell, and it's good to see this film bring more attention to him. By the way, if you're interested in another movie that explores soldiers trying to go back to civilian life, I highly recommend the 1946 film The Best Years of Our Lives. Now I want to know whether you prefer Flags of Our Fathers or Letters from Iwo Jima. Write your thoughts in the comments section, and thank you for your question, Diver.